Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
We're always looking for new partners. We can never find enough, especially now that we have also embarked on, what is by all accounts a successful YouTube project. We hit our 1 millionth view over the weekend, and we've only been around, can you believe, for a mere 7 months, thanks to Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, who delayed our license renewal, forcing us to, do a plan B, which was the online thing, which is unregulated. That's how we embarked on the YouTube project. I just mentioned him. He's here. Actually, I was expecting him a bit earlier on. And yes, if you have any question for Dr. Ceesay, you know the numbers now. 77115999 or 92323333. We are still using also 9910959 9910 Let's formally welcome Dr. Ceesay back. We missed him actually last week. He wasn't here. He was all the way in Guinea Bissau. So let's test his Creole. Kuma, bon dia.
Well, I have no idea. One thing I didn't do is to learn at least one or a few words. Obrado.
No, obrigado. That's
Obrigado. Why did you know this?
Listen, I have roots in Guinea Bissau.
Okay.
I have roots in Guinea Bissau.
So I went back to your roots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful country, by the way.
Really?
Yes. It's nice.
I think Gambia is more beautiful.
Yes, and I apologize in advance to my friend, the ambassador. I know he must be listening.
Well, listen.
But the hospitality was good. We were well taken care of.
Fantastic. What were you doing there?
Well, actually, sometime back, a couple of months ago, I invited my counterpart, Dr. Jazz, Florentino Jazz. He's the Minister for Social Communication in Guinea-Bissau. He came to visit me, and then we thought about having an MOU between the two ministries, particularly between the two state broadcasters, where we exchange content, but also engage in capacity building, engage in technical support, and other important issues. But the most important is content exchange to promote trade and tourism. For example, we can have documentaries on Gambian tourism attractions here. They play it in Bissau national broadcaster, so they can see what's happening in Gambia and vice versa. So this trip was to reciprocate that visit, but also to sign the MOU. So I was there together with GRTS DG, because we had to visit their state broadcasters and their state radio. Also, we had to also visit their news agency, which is a bit more developed than ours, because we are trying to develop our news agency.
Really?
Because the news agency, Yes, there was a problem at some point. It stopped, but now we are back. Now we have a website, and we are working on appointing journalists to be placed in all the regions of the country.
I thought you
so
said
they can be sending.
I thought you were looking for an editor-in-chief for the news agency.
No.
I would have said one is here.
Well, we cannot pay you.
Ceesay.
So yes, so we visited the news agency, and then we signed an MOU, and we started implementing the MOU. And one of the things is that our Gambia Daily, this newspaper, will dedicate one page of news from Guinea-Bissau in their language to cater for those Bissau Guineans who live in the Gambia. They will also reciprocate the same thing. But also, we'll also get their news summary to be played on GRTS. So they'll also reciprocate. We've already started implementing yesterday. So we signed an MOU, and it was a good trip. I think this will not only strengthen the bilateral ties between the two countries, but also it will promote trade, investment, and also tourism between the two countries.
Fantastic. Just before, I'm sure you are here with updates as usual, but just before that, there's a gentleman, a desperate gentleman. Well, I should say old man. All right, he's much older than me, and I'm an old man already. Desperate, to get water connection. He's been chasing Nawec for 39 years, and he still hasn't, got anything positive from them. So he's turned to naming and shaming, if you like, by coming on the radio and sharing his problem with all of us.
Well, I understand his situation, and I really felt it for him when I heard him speak for 39 years. Immediately, I called the manager and director of Nawec, and I spoke with him, and then he said this is unusual, and he was utterly shocked to hear about this, and he had given me instructions to engage the man in particular, so that tomorrow he can go and meet him at his office and see what they can do.
They want the man's number?
Yes, either he calls me or his number, I can call him. So I'll arrange for an appointment with him and the
managing
director.
Tell me whatever you want, and
send me his number. I'll call him.
I will.
Immediately after this program, and tomorrow he will go and see the managing director, and they'll find a solution to his problem.
Fantastic. Problem solver, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. You can add that to your long title. Okay, let's do the updates.
Well, I have a few updates from government. The first one has to do with the vice presidency. His Excellency the Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow led a high-level delegation to the International Conference on Glacier Preservation in Tajikistan.
Glacier preservation?
Yes, it's important. The conference focused...
Have we ever seen ice in this country?
No, but the melting of the glacier also has impact on coastal cities in Gambia, because it will lead to sea level rise.
Sure.
The conference focused on sustainable climate adaptation strategies, particularly the issue of rapidly melting glaciers. During the visit, His Excellency also met with President Emomali Rahmon in Dushanbe. Discussions covered cooperation in trade, capacity building, and multilateral diplomacy, particularly within the OIC framework. Now, the other one is from the Ministry of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs concerning the pilgrims. It's an update from the ministry on the Gambian pilgrims in Mecca 2025 Hajj. Pilgrim conditions have significantly improved according to the ministry. Accommodation issues resolved and no complaints reported so far. Healthcare services ongoing, and 3 Gambian cooks joined to support to provide better food quality. Transport to the Kaaba is now operational, fully operational, because I think the hotel they stayed was a very hilly one, so they provided transport to take people. So this is an update from the Ministry of Lands, responsible for religious affairs, that yes, there were complaints recently about the conditions in Mecca.
Yeah, but those were dismissed as false and misinformation and all of that.
No, not actually. What happened was that the food that was shown on social media, that is the food they are giving was false. It left out some detail. So what the ministry did was that the food that was shown was false, and they had to rectify that. But in terms of broadly speaking, the conditions, some were complaining about, because like I said, the ministry had promised that they will take Gambian cooks with them, but the cooks were a bit late because of visa issues, but they are now finally arrived. But we have spoken to many people there, and by and large, I think it's good, because this is a pilot. Government tried to now take control of this, because what we are seeing was the escalation of prices every year, and this year government had to make sure that the prices are stabilized. So government had to intervene to make sure that they really take care of these things. Yes, there were few challenges based on reports, and I think the ministry has acted on these challenges, and now everything is fine. That is why for the past couple of days, past 4 or 5 days, we have not had any complaints.
But we were told that they were going to stay in a hotel that was a mere 5 minutes walk away from the Kaaba.
Well, the hotel is, according to the people I've spoken to, the hotel is fine. The standards are good. Yes, there are challenges because
distance. We're talking distance.
I think they said it's not far. I think that's right. The only is hilly. You have to go up the hill. Going down wasn't a problem. That is why they have to provide transport. But remember, we have 2,000 people in one hotel, and some of the challenges that were happening was the elevator. And everybody goes out together and back together. 2,000 people. You have 2,000 people in a hotel from different backgrounds, different places, different missions. They go out different times. But for this one, most of them will go out together. And sometimes there are challenges at the elevator. For the distance, it's not far. This is what I've heard. I think that information is correct, but that it is very hilly when you are going back to the hotel, and that would that cause some challenges for particularly older people. But now that is sorted because there is now a shuttle service that helps them to go up the hill.
So government intervened in the Hajj this year to stabilize the price. Why is government unable to intervene in the cost of food domestically to stabilize the price of food?
Government has intervened.
How? Because the price of food is going up on a daily basis. How have you intervened to stabilize the price of food?
Daily basis, like how? Why is the statistics there that price of food is going up? What we know is that the price of food has stabilized in this country. I'm not saying it has gone down, it has stabilized somewhat. We have not seen any skyrocketing of prices going up.
Seriously?
Of course.
Well, I can now foresee a situation where people will be, deluging the program with text messages saying, I bought this for this.
What I'm saying is...
The price of cement, for instance, everybody is crying over that.
Cement is not food. It's not what I'm saying when it comes to food. When it comes to the price of a bag of rice, it has not gone up significantly over the past couple of months.
Okay,
it's been stabilized. In fact, now what we are saying is that I don't have details, but in fact we will see the price of rice going down significantly very soon.
How soon is very soon? Next week?
I'm not sure, but I know that government has intervened in supporting the sector. Currently, there is a program by Ministry of Trade whereby they give support to traders to bring in rice, so that and government will also bring rice very soon. When it comes to the food, basically, Peter, the fact is that the price have stabilized. We've not seen any skyrocketing. Skyrocketing means that every day you'll see the price of rice come. And government has succeeded in bringing down inflation from 17% a couple of months ago to almost 8-9% now. So I think on that front, government is doing well.
On this, provision of, money or whatever facilities to enable, people to bring in rice, oil, and is the other one sugar. I thought that experiment massively failed the first time, which was why
it did not. In fact, had that not happened, we would have seen a massive increase in the price of those commodities in this country. That support helped bringing the price of rice. And remember also, these are supply chain issues. We don't produce these things. We buy them from outside. And then the cost of logistics go up, and the cost of these commodities go up in that country. We buy the inflation back to the country. That is why government is ensuring that these things, you don't pay duty for them. Government is subsidizing that to make sure that it's duty free. You don't pay anything when it comes in, so that we stabilize it. If that support wasn't given, it would have been a totally different story.
Okay, all right. No more updates.
No, of course we have a few more. One is from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs about the accident that happened, where it's a gas explosion and 2 Gambians died, 15 were critically injured, and 12 were...
This was in Libya,
injured.
Right?
In Libya, yes, in Tripoli. Condolences were extended to the families, and the Gambian liaison office in Tripoli is also giving support to those who are affected, working together with the embassy in Rabat. But most importantly, there was a story about this outbreak of scabies in Dara, in Brufut. Now, government has taken...
Which Madi has pinned on government failure.
Well, government is responsible to ensure that the welfare of Gambians are taken care of. So, his opinion, what we can do is to respond to these issues, and we have done as a responsible government. What we have done is we've effected an immediate closure of the particular place, and we have relocated some students have been relocated. Infected students are currently receiving treatment. Healthy students have been relocated. There's a joint investigation that has been launched with the Ministry of Health and the National Education Coordinators. Efforts are also underway to develop minimum standards regulations for all madrasa, majalis schools to safeguard student welfare. And I think this is what the government can do in this situation.
What's the difference between madrasa and majalis?
Well, I think I need to educate myself.
Oh, okay. Maybe one is primary school, the other one is high school.
Yes, so I'm not very familiar with this. Now, the other one, this is good news for Gambia. Yes, the Gambia government has received
we love good news.
$52.6 million grant from the International Development.
It's a grant.
Yes, from the World Bank.
Yeah, it's good to emphasize that it's a grant.
Yes, financing.
Not a loan, because we are loan weary.
It says that the World Bank has approved $52.6 million in financing for the Gambia to improve transport and energy infrastructure access in select areas and strengthen institutional capacity for service delivery. The project will directly benefit over 100,000 people. It will enhance road connectivity, but also expanded electricity access. It will help us achieve our universal access to electricity. But the most important thing is that this project will focus on building climate-resilient infrastructure while supporting the country's ambitious goals for universal energy access and improved rural community connectivity. Key investments include constructing 60 kilometers of rural and urban roads, connecting 80 rural communities to the electricity grid, and upgrading critical infrastructure in the energy sector in the greater Banjul area. So I think this is good news. This will help us in our infrastructural transformation drive, but also help us achieve our universal access to electricity by 2030.
Well, listen, we focus possibly too much on electricity, sometimes at the expense of water, and you've just been listening to that listener who is desperate for, water connectivity. So what is being done for water as far as you know?
Last week, $59.1 million is also Gambia got financing from the European Investment Bank to expand water access to almost 1 million Gambians, yes.
Okay.
And there is a policy declaration that we are going to divide Nawec into two entities, one focusing on water to promote efficiency and governance, one focusing on electricity. And this $59.1 million is going to provide water. The total investment is on water alone. And this will provide almost clean drinking water to almost 1 million Gambians in the greater Banjul area. And remember, Peter, one of the problems we are having is that the previous government did not have the foresight and the vision to look at population trends and prepare. It's the development, like I always argue, is long-term planning. Now, 20 years ago, it was to be, the previous government should have looked at the data and said the way we are growing as a population, the population growth. Not only that, you also look at the rural-urban migration trends, that in 2025, we'll get almost half of our population living in urban Gambia. But was urban Gambia built to house 50% of the population in terms of water infrastructure, in terms of electricity infrastructure, in terms of housing, in terms of road connectivity? No. They should have done that planning at that time and prepared the country for 2025. They did not. So we inherited, as a government, these problems, whereby we now have to contend with a situation where there's high rural-urban migration and high population growth, to the extent that now 50% of our population live in urban Gambia, in Banjul, West Coast, and KM. They live in urban Gambia. And now, do we have the enough health facilities in these areas to house these people? Do we have the roads? Do we have the electricity? Do we have the water? These things should have been done by the previous government. They did not. That is why we have to contend with two things here as a government, and that's a key challenge. One is to ensure that we provide the basic needs of Gambians today, but also prepare the country for the next generation. And this I think we are doing in tandem. That is why most of these 1,500 hospital beds we are seeing in Farad we are building, it's not for today. It's so that when the population increases, there is hospital. Most of these interventions we are doing, the water project.
I would say as the population increases.
That's what I'm saying.
We are increasing all the time.
As it increases. Yeah. So most of these interventions we are doing now, it's not only to provide the services for today, which is a challenge, because the people want the services now. They don't want excuses. But also we have to prepare for the next generation. We don't want the next government to come or for the next generation to come and also have to contend with the same problems we are contending. That is why the president has a vision to build these roads, these highways, these bridges, building over 800,000 kilometers of roads. Now we are going to commit another 500 kilometers of road.
800,000 or?
No, 1,000 kilometers of road we have built. We are going to commission another 500 kilometers of roads. We are going to expand. Currently there is some support from the World Bank, from the Islamic Development Bank, to start these studies to expand the road from Airport Junction to Block, to do it a dual carriageway. All these things are there to ensure the next generation have enough roads, because the cars are also, the more the population increases, the cars also increase. We need to plan, and the president has the vision to make sure that the water system is sorted, the electricity system is sorted, The roads are okay. There's enough healthcare facilities. There are enough schools. That is why he's building 10 classrooms a week. Because we are providing it for today, but he's thinking ahead that the next generation must also benefit from these services so that the next generation will not focus on building these things. They'll focus on building for the next generation. That is how development works, Peter.
Sounds very good. I'm convinced. So the new policy on Nawec, will it be formally addressed when the president delivers his State of the Nation address?
Yes, I would think so. I have not seen his speech, but I would guess so because it's a declaration is already made when they were laying the foundation stone for this big water project in Sifo. I think it will be. I think the feasibility studies have been done. Everything is done. I think what is remaining is implementation to ensure that Nawec now becomes two entities. One focusing on water. And remember, Peter, since independence, the government had not had any significant investment in water infrastructure. That is why if you look at Ceesay, for example, if the tank at that time was, let's say, 100 cubic meters of water for 10 households. Now we have 100 households in Ceesay. It's not going to be, that is why the pressure is low. But we are working on that, and hopefully within the next couple of years, electricity wouldn't be a problem in the Gambia, thanks to His Excellency's vision and foresight.
Fantastic. Let's go back to updates if there are.
And that's a final update. As Tobaski approaches, the government is committed to ensuring livestock is affordable and accessible to all Gambians.
How?
On May 15, 2025, there was a successful consultative meeting with stakeholders in the livestock sector to address important and market challenges. Now, there's an agreement on several relief measures effective during the Tobaski preparation period, and these are all import duties and domestic taxes on livestock are waived. This applies to both small and large ruminants. Now, ferry transport fees are reduced by 50%, thanks to collaboration with the Gambia Ports Authority Services, so that we are able to bring in the ship. The Banjul City Council, BCC, and Brikama Area Council have agreed to waive all municipal taxes and market fees for livestock dealers. These measures are designed to reduce prices for consumers while supporting local and regional livestock dealers. This is also a very good move by a government that has a vision, but also that acts appropriately when it is necessary.
There's a local breeders association, livestock breeders association, that wants government help, all right, to grow their business and cut out, the need to be bringing in, livestock from outside and the country losing. I mean, can you imagine? People are coming from outside to come and do business. They'll take money from us, but then the taxes they're supposed to, to pay are waived, because if we apply those taxes, these animals become even more expensive. Why, if GRA, if my friend Yankuba Dabo were to be asked, for instance, how much revenue, will be lost this year, for instance, on these duty waivers, and it comes to something like 5, 6, 7, even up to $10 million, say, why don't you, take $10 million, say, or half of it, and give it to this association, to grow their business, so that by the time we get to the next Tobaski, at least 60 to 70, maybe even 80% of our livestock needs, would be, provided locally.
I'm not sure if the Minister of Agriculture is listening to me. I know there's a project called the Small Ruminants.
That's been here since. That's been here, I think, since.
And I know they're supporting the livestock industry. That is why recently, if you look at the name change, the Minister of Agriculture changed its name from Minister of Agriculture to Minister of Agriculture, Livestock and Food Security, because they want to now give more prominence to livestock. And I think this is important. I once made this argument that let's have the data. How many sheep do we kill every Tobaski? For example, we need to have that data, because data is important to drive policy. So if we know that, for example, every year we slaughter 200,000 sheep.
I think it's 300,000.
Okay, I don't have that. So I think then perhaps now, like you said, this is something we need to discuss. I'll raise this up at cabinet level. I think we need to have, as part of our drive to achieve food security, this is part of it. We cannot continue relying on importing ram every Tobaski. Especially now that we have no control over the CFA, because it is pegged to the euro, and when the euro goes up, it goes up. But I think this is something we need to look into very seriously. I know the minister is listening and is taking note. I know he's taking measures. I cannot just know exactly, because sometimes there's a lot of things that I forget. I know that he's taking measures because he once mentioned this, that the aim is to ensure that we are lamb self-secure for Tobaski in the very near future. But I think data is important. If it's 300,000 lamb, it means every year this will go up because as population increases.
Lamb? You're supposed to be slaughtering
ram,
rams,
sorry,
lambs.
ram, not lamb, ram. Sorry for that. So I think, yes, this is a good proposal. I think government is looking at it. Our aim is to ensure that we provide this locally by supporting local livestock industry and also local livestock breeders. The minister, I hope if he's listening, he might send me a message telling me exactly what is being done. I'll find out what is being done exactly in this front, and in my next outing, I can inform the public.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ano lay waxal?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bësal mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.
We all know him. We're talking to Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services. Yeah, an unprecedented, development in Gambian diplomacy. A senior ambassador attacking the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and in the process also giving you, your own share because you hosted this town hall where, a statement that didn't go down well with Gambian diplomats around the world, was made.
I didn't receive my own share. I read the article. I was only mentioned as the moderator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yes.
Well, you just promised that you were going to elucidate on developments in the whatever.
No, yes, like I said, Peter, it's unfortunate. Government has taken note, and government will take appropriate action.
What does that mean?
What that means is that government will make sure we deal with the situation.
How? By dismissing Tangara or dismissing Alkali Conte? Which one of them will go?
That is not my decision. What I can assure the public is that government is aware and government has taken note, and it's an unfortunate situation, and government will take appropriate action as usual.
Does government in this case actually mean the president? Government?
Yes. The president is the box stops with him, so obviously he will take appropriate action.
So he was concerned about Alkali Conte's attack on.
Well, I've not discussed the issue with the president. What I know that as a government, when these things happen, we'll deal with it internally. It's not unprecedented for there to be disagreements. Disagreements are healthy in a democracy. This is one of such disagreements. It shows that our democracy is working now. Yes, it's unfortunate. It should not happen in the open, but it has happened. It has happened. It shows there is democracy, and that now people can speak their mind. And government has taken note of this unfortunate situation, and government will take action. The government will deal with it in an appropriate manner.
So government will take action internally. If internally means
not action. Government will deal with it in an appropriate manner, not take action. I cannot say that whether they'll take action. I don't want to say action and there's no action, and then they'll say doctor said they'll take action.
Okay.
What I know that government will deal with it in an appropriate manner. That could be anything. It could be anything in an appropriate manner. For example, if there's insubordination or something with your staff, you could deal with it. You could give them a warning. For example, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just giving you an example.
My staff are my bosses. Everybody will tell you I call them boss.
So I think the right word is government will deal with it in an appropriate manner.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying I don't know whether action will be taken or not, but we'll deal with it in an appropriate manner. What we can say, it is unfortunate, but hey, listen, Peter, healthy democracy, people disagree.
Okay, all right. So we are just assuming that the next cabinet meeting on Thursday will have this very high on its
I don't know the agenda of what's going to be in cabinet. What I know is that it's not a desirable situation, and government has taken note. and then we will deal with it in an appropriate manner.
Do you have any update on, the investigations going on into how the Jame assets have been handled or mishandled, depending on your choice of language?
The sitting has started, and I think they've summoned witnesses. That's the last thing I heard, that they've started sitting and they've summoned witnesses. So I think that one is ongoing at the moment, and we are looking forward to receiving the report and the recommendations.
All right. 7711599, if you want to send us a message for Dr. Ceesay, we have him here only until 10 o'clock. The same number is also WhatsApp enabled. The other number for WhatsApp, 9232333. Mr. Gomez, I know that Alhaji Barrow hates Yaya Jammeh's guts, but dismissing his assertions on the oil saga, I don't think Alhaji is doing a good service to the Gambia. And Alhaji is no angel himself. Someone who intended to kill innocent Gambians for political reasons could be seen as a mini Yaya Jammeh. I think what the current Gambian government should do is to probe into Jammeh's allegations. Speaking, on reaction to some of the things that I said on this program, just a couple of weeks ago, I got attacked by Kauyoro, and I must say I was really distressed a couple of weeks ago to hear that he actually died. That was really sad, because after I read that his comments on me, which were not addressed to me directly anyway, he actually heard me read out his his comments, and he must have been shocked that I got this, and I read it just as he wrote them. And really I was upset to hear of his death.
I've not met him before. I've never met him
too.
I mean, I've also heard the news, and I think I pray for his soul to rest in peace.
Amen.
I'll also use the opportunity to extend my condolences to the entire Gambia, the media fraternity, the family, husband of Fatou Samba, Paus Manjuf, who also passed last week and was laid to rest yesterday.
Just this past weekend on Saturday.
Past weekend, exactly. And then we've lost a very vibrant member of the media fraternity. We'll miss her.
All right. May her soul rest in peace. The school is still open, and there are nearly 100 kids together. I was there on Sunday. So this school that you people are saying, this Dara, that it's been closed, somebody is texting to say it is still open.
Well, if the Ministry of Basic Education sends a release that it's been shut down and they say it's open, then there's an issue. Then we'll have to engage the Ministry of Basic Education after this program. And
please don't brush this aside. Take this into consideration.
I mean, if that is the case, then that's a very serious situation, and which will not be acceptable.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask the Honorable Information Minister for any information on Jammeh's allegations regarding Senegal benefiting from our oil. Do we truly have oil and gas? And if so, where is it?
Well, there are two things here, Peter. One is that Gambia has oil.
We have oil?
No. I said there are two
issues here.
Okay. One is that Gambia has oil. Mm-hmm. The other is that the oil has been stolen by Senegal.
Yes.
Now, I wouldn't want to pay attention to the latter because, to be honest, it doesn't make sense. Anybody who knows how the oil industry works, oil cannot be stolen just like that. 1, 2. The government of His Excellency the President is a very responsible government with the interest of Gambia at heart, with a big vision to transform this country into a middle-income country. Now, you think that country will have oil and give it to another country to develop while we stay and struggle to build our country? Impossible. That is not happening. So forget about that one. Now, the other one, the former, do we have oil? Based on geological makeup of the area, they said there's a possibility that we have, but this has to be confirmed. One is to have oil and to have it in commercially viable quantities are two different things. We need to explore this possibility and get the empirical evidence that we have. In the absence of that, to be honest, it will just be speculation to say we have oil. I think we need to come and do a proper study to ascertain that, one, we have oil, and two, we have it in commercially viable quantities for us to say we have oil. For now, everything else is just speculation.
Okay, hello, Uncle Peter. Can you ask the minister about the road of Mariama Kunda to Yuna? When are they completing the work? Because they have completed the bridge, but the work has stopped since. Asking by Mohammed Ba.
Well, Mariama Kunda to Yuna. Let me take note of that.
Well, don't worry. Silla will text you a response.
Yes, I think Silla will answer that question.
I'm sure he'll text you a response. Silla, send him a response to that so that he can get Mohammed out of his misery. Hi, Uncle Peter. The only worry I have for Ceesay is like the Gambia is problem free because each issue raised is counted down mercilessly by him.
No, I never do that. I know there are challenges.
Exactly. I was going to ask whether you see any problems for the Gambia.
But there is no country in the world, Peter, even the most advanced countries, the Japan, the USAs, the Germanys, the China, they all have their own challenges. We have challenges. But what I also would not accept is to say that the country is now not also moving. Like we are going down the drains, like some people really want to portray that the country is a failed state, it's not moving. That is false.
Failed state we are not.
And I've heard people say that. So for me, Peter, the question which I normally ask is, are we better off today than 7-8 years ago? Yes, we are better off. Okay. In every aspect, in every sector. We are moving. The country is moving. It's a country, let's look at the history, let's look at the context. 22 years of dictatorship. One man will rule and decide. The institutions were destroyed. There was no freedom of speech. There was no democracy. Now, then we have now a new democracy. We need to rebuild that country. Now, a transition from autocracy to democracy is always fraught with serious challenges, and many countries couldn't make it, they relapsed. And the World Bank and other international financial institutions have confirmed that what His Excellency is able to do in a transition within the short period, no other country in transition was able to do it. Not Rwanda, not Sierra Leone, not Liberia, not South Africa.
Not Rwanda?
No, it took Rwanda 7 years to do what we were able to achieve in 3-4 years. And that is the fact.
What were we able to achieve in 3-4 years?
In terms of the building democratic institutions, in terms of making sure that the judiciary is independent and staffed with competent people, in terms of making sure that we hold elections periodically, free fair elections, in terms of the developments
even when we were a dictatorship, we were holding elections regularly.
But the judiciary wasn't free and fair. We had to build the country in a transition, and also when the president started his vision of transforming this country, then struck COVID. So the challenges were huge. Imagine building a country in transition with COVID and 2 wars, at the same time inheriting a country
wars.
Of course, the war in Ukraine and the war in Israel because we are in an international system. Okay. We supply chain bottlenecks. So imagine 2 wars at the back of a global pandemic in a transition with all the problems you have inherited, where there were zero investments in most of these sectors, and you have to start. I think the president has done a very good job considering these circumstances and this context. So you cannot come and tell me that the country is not moving. Look, we've built 1,000 kilometers of roads within 7 years. 1,000 kilometers of roads. We've built over 6,000 classrooms, brand new classrooms. Tobolibanna, the last village in this country. We've provided more electricity.
Tobolibanna, it's not Koina.
Koina is the last village. Koina is an area. It's the last village.
Okay.
Now,
Tobolibanna.
we've provided electricity to more communities than any time before in the history of this country. We've provided water, clean water, to more communities than any time before.
Don't forget this guy in Bundung.
Yeah, but exactly, there are cases that we need to work on. But what I'm saying is that by and large, you go to communities in rural Gambia, they never dreamt of having water before. They never, for 57 years, they never dreamt of having electricity before. They now have electricity. They never dreamt of having tarred roads before. Now they have it. Farmers, we spent over $1 billion on farmers by subsidizing seeds, by subsidizing fertilizer, by making sure that we buy their groundnuts at a price which is far less than we sell it at the
NBR farmers, claim they were hard done by this year. They didn't get their money on time.
Yeah, but they got their money. I think there were some issues with the payment system. I think there was some of the problems. But yes, there are. Like I said, we cannot have everything perfect 100%. But look at the intention of it, and also let's look at the bigger picture. So we've invested in agriculture. like no government has done before in road infrastructure. We've invested in education in terms of access to education. In terms of healthcare, we build more healthcare centers than any time before. State-of-the-art healthcare centers.
Paracetamol is still not available, at every
so,
outlet.
so what I'm saying is that if you look at all these sectors, look at the social services, helping people, giving them every month, we give money to some families.
That's this NAFA thing,
Exactly, who need it. So the social sector, you look at roads, you look at education, you look at health, you look at agriculture. The country is making strides, and I think this should be appreciated. Yes, there are still challenges, but you cannot expect a country that has been stagnant for 22 years to build that country to our desired goal in 7 years. It is impossible. And anybody who comes and promises you that I'll build a Gambia in 5 years to give it to me, they're just lying to you. It's not possible. A country...
Is that your way of making sure that the opposition does not gain any traction? Because very soon, that's what they'll be...
See, Peter,
they will sell themselves as a better option to the Barrow administration.
I'll make a declaration now. The best the Gambia can do is to give President Barrow a chance for a third term to complete all this project that he started in transforming this country.
Would that be his third? Would that be his third and final?
Well, I don't know that. What I know is that the best that the Gambians can do is to give him another mandate to continue this very massive transformative development he has started. And the opposition, look, they're in disarray, they're not united, and I don't see them as an alternative to His Excellency the President. None of these had the vision to transform this country. So they cannot. So Gambians would be, look, the President is working. You think the people in Basse, in CRR, who never had electricity, water, roads before, and now they have it, will give it to the people who have no proven track record of even developing a shop?
No, GFA has a track record. I mean, their leader was vice president before, foreign minister, finance minister. He knows government. Bakari Bunja Dabo.
Under the PPP?
Yes.
Well,
at least he has experience. If you're looking for experience,
a failed experience. That is why they were over 1994, because they did not do a good job.
Yeah, well, you were asking for experience.
That's what I'm saying.
Even Hussein Dabo has experience of government.
A proven track record, whereby you can pinpoint to say, I've done this. None of them can. The president can say, I've built 1,000 kilometers of roads. I built 6,000 classrooms.
Hussein Dabo gave us the Jambur Solar project.
Hussein Dabo also was... You see, I like Hussein Dabo because he made me understand. He told me that the president is Moses, a prophet. Moses, for two reasons. One is characteristic, one is mission. The prophet Moses was honest, straightforward, humble. And then President Barrow has those characteristics. Also, the mission was to save his people from the plight and the clutches of Pharaoh. And President Barrow also was sent for that purpose. So I like, one thing I can agree with Dabo is that President Barrow is indeed Moses.
The context in which I referenced him was the Jambur Solar project.
Yes, but also the context also in which I want to now discuss it is that he made me understand the virtues that are inherent in President Barrow. All
right, okay. Is the Honorable Minister aware that there are people claiming to be from BAC asking livestock dealers to pay $500 per ram?
BAC means Brikama Area Council?
Brikama Area Council.
Well, I'm not aware. I think it's for Brikama Area Council to really answer that question.
Absolutely, absolutely. Diplomats are the face of any country. The Foreign Service needs a complete overhaul. What is happening is embarrassing, to put it mildly. Are you all embarrassed by what's happening between a senior ambassador
like
and
I said, challenges happen everywhere. It's one of those challenges, and the government will deal with it in an appropriate manner.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, Uncle Peter and Dr. Ceesay. How many embassies do issue visas in the Gambia? And two, with the rumored U.S. embassy closure, have the government engaged the U.S. department? How many embassies issue visas in the Gambia, do you know?
I know you can apply for the British visa, UK visa.
But it's issued elsewhere?
No, not issued, but okay, when you apply here, they send it out to be issued, but it comes back to you here. So you apply from here.
Okay.
The US visa can also apply from here. Apart from that, I think Turkey, you can apply from here. China, very soon they'll start here. Next couple of months, I think they'll start also application from here. They brought all the equipment to start from here. That's China. And then for EU, I think EU oil is in Dakar, that I know. But I think discussions are in place because we now have a Spanish embassy here to see whether, and also we have a German embassy here as well to see what can be done to start those applications from here. Because when you have one Schengen visa, you can enter any Schengen country. Discussions are ongoing for that to happen.
With the rumored U.S. embassy closure, have the government engaged U.S. Department?
Well, like you said, it's rumors. If the U.S. did not engage us formally to say they're closing their embassy, we cannot just engage them based on rumors. Governments don't operate like that.
Hello, Uncle Peter. Please tell the Honorable Minister that he's doing a very great work. Therefore, let him stay focused and continue to press hard. I really like his Mansekunda program. Thanks to him, we start to hear directly from all state ministers. Kudos to him. He is one of the best information ministers of this country. And the person signs off as a concerned citizen. Must be a friend of yours.
Well, I wouldn't know, but thanks for the compliment.
Hi, Mr. Peter. Can you please tell the minister that FAR and BP, Frank Timmy's case in Senegal, for him just to brush off our oil prospects, I will advise him to read an article about our oil.
Well, like I said, an article, I've not read it. This is an ongoing debate. One thing I know, and I can confirm, is that the government of the Gambia, under the leadership of His Excellency the President Barrow, will not sit and know and have the evidence that we have oil and not exploit that oil. It doesn't make sense to me, and this wouldn't make sense to any Gambian.
Well, despite the fact that we had Silla here on more than 3 hours last week, we're still getting, infrastructure questions. Good day, Honorable Minister. I'd like to raise a concern regarding the Tabokoto Coastal Road works. The project appears to be in progress, but is currently paused. With the rainy season fast approaching, we are worried about the impact this will have on residents and local and daily commuters. Additionally, the current design includes bricks on the roadside, but this seems problematic. Vans and trucks frequently stop along this road, and the bricks could worsen congestion or cause accidents. Could you please share any updates on the project's timeline? Also, who is responsible for the planning and traffic flow considerations? Should we look at policies to control where vehicles can stop, or should there be a public education campaign to guide drivers? We need a clear plan to avoid chaos. Let me just suggest that if Silla, is listening and wants to call straight into the program to tackle these issues directly himself, feel free, Silla, call on the, AfriCell number 7711-599, and we'll put you on air to clear these things because, maybe the time he needs to, compose texts and send to you might be problematic. Yes.
Yeah, I think these are great suggestions. I know work is ongoing. We've got some funding. Some of the funding that we're having currently from the World Bank has to do with also road infrastructure. I don't know what plans in concrete terms is happening. I think it's for Minister Silla now to be able to respond to these very good, pertinent questions, but also take note of the suggestions.
Well, let's go to the WhatsApp to see what's coming by way of contributions, especially from outside the country. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Madrasa is more of formal Arabic education where people attend school just like English schools, and most of them are under the supervision of Amana, and they learn different subjects, while Majalis are more of informal education where you have people in open place and mostly focus on only learning Quran, formerly called Karanta. Another thing, Uncle Peter, that's at least I've been educated. Yeah, so you know that.
Now I know the difference.
So madrasa is where they teach formal Arabic education. So just like mathematics, science, whatever. You learn this in English, and there you learn it in Arabic.
Yes, and the majalis is the dara, the ones that I attended when I was young.
What we call dara, just under a tree and everything.
The ones that I've been beaten several times.
You were beaten?
Yeah, of course, by the ustas.
Do you now see that as child abuse? Do you feel that you were abused? Yeah, because there's now a conversation around that.
No, I was being
Good morning, Uncle Peter and Dr. Ceesay. talking about roads and the government foresight, is the government looking at expanding the road from Turntable to Sanyang all the way to Gunjur to at least a dual carriageway? Considering the upcoming port expansion in Sanyang, I'm afraid the current road infrastructure will definitely not be able to accommodate
that's
the
part of the plans. But for now, I don't think it's something of a priority before the Sanyang port is ready, because the road is not normally congested. But on the other side, airport junction to Brikama is always congested, and that one is a priority for it to be a dual carriageway. So that one government is working on. But for group turntable to Sanyang to Gunjur, yes, with the coming of the Sanyang port, it's something to consider. I think it's on the plans. It's part of the plans. But for now, it is not a priority because that road is not normally congested. It's normally free.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. The Honorable Minister, Dr. Ceesay, is a visionary leader, hate him or like him, but he's a man who should keep going. He keeps things going, rather, the right way. Just imagine how he solved a 36-year-old problem of a man. This is from Abdullah Abad. That's not solved yet. By the way, it's 39. That's not solved
we
yet.
will solve it. Tomorrow, the man in question will meet the MD. And let me tell you, the MD is a very visionary, focused, dynamic MD.
I've heard about him.
Yes,
And people have even, somebody sent a text message, I think last week, to say I should get him on the program.
Yes, you should. I think he is...
he was out of town at the time, but...
He's back in town.
Okay.
He has a vision, a plan for Nawec, and we'll see some significant changes. And in fact, we have started seeing those changes now.
Okay. Well, my meter is down. It has to come back. You know?
He insisted that...
My electricity meter, I have a problem too.
Which meter is that?
Yeah,
also here.
the West Coast radio meter.
Is down?
Yes. I mean, they took it away since Saturday.
Why?
You know, it's a very problematic meter. I mean, we've had 3 sparks, you know, resulting from defections, you know, in the meter itself. So on Saturday, I was at my niece's wedding when my daughter called me to say whether I could call Nawec and tell them that, you know, there's been another spark, in the meter or from the meter. Luckily, there's this gentleman, Sanadabo. You know, whenever you call Sanadabo, he takes your call. And whatever problem you tell him, whether it's something directly under him or not, you know, he takes action. All right? In no time, he got the people to come here. They established that it was a problem of the meter. Apparently, they're having problems with these meters bought from South Africa. So don't buy meters from South Africa anymore, Nawec. Go back to China. The Chinese meters
are much better.
Much better.
So they'll change your meter now.
Well, I hope they do.
Okay.
Because, 3 times you've had this problem. 3 times they've insisted on fixing the problem and bringing it back. Until I said to them, until you get this place up in fire, that's the only time you'll change this meter. I think
the permanent solution is to change the meter.
Exactly.
The MD will take note of this.
Well, thank you very much for saying change. Because now that you've advocated for change, I'll get a change meter. Hello, Peter. Can the minister update us about the temporary move of the tipper garage at Salaji? This area is for a police station and immigration under the plan. They have changed this area into a shanty town. Salaji and the other towns need police, fire service, and immigration presence. This is from Abdullah Jallo. The place is not for tipper garage.
I think if you recall, when the demolition took place, there was the same issue. The land that was reserved to build social amenities like police station and those markets and all these things were the ones that were being sold and people were building their houses on it. When it comes to the actual issue that he asked about the situation, I don't have updates on that. But what I know is that government will ensure that these amenities, a space is given for these amenities. I'll engage my good friend, Honorable Ahmad Ba, to give us an update on this.
You have not given him his full entitlement. Honorable Hamad Ngany Kumba Ba.
Okay, Honorable Hamad NK Ba.
Exactly.
I will engage him. He'll give me updates. I know he's a very proactive minister and he's doing very well in that sector now. He will. He has definitely some plans. I don't know what those plans are, but I think if I engage him, I'll be able to know what those plans are.
Somebody is disagreeing with us on Guinea Bissau. I'm being dragged into this disagreement. I didn't contribute anything other than to ask a question. Salam, Peter. I disagree with you and Dr. Ceesay that the Gambia is more beautiful than Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is more beautiful than the Gambia and have more tourists and beautiful natural attractions. The country is a haven in West Africa with their beautiful islands and a rich culture I only wish we had what they have, and we would have been number one tourist destination in the sub-region. And the same person then goes on to ask, what about the FJC utterances? If government is going to deal with the situation involving Alkali Conte and Mamadou Tangara, what about the FJC utterances?
Well, it's not for me to speak directly on the FJC utterances, but the context is not the same. The FJC audio was a private audio sent to a private individual. If FJC's utterances were made public, if she spoke on a public platform and using those utterances, it would have been a different case. But it's like Peter may send you an audio, a personal audio to you, and that audio was able to find its way to the public media. It's a totally different thing. Again, like I said, these are two different things, so I don't think they should be treated equally. This one is totally different from the FJC utterance.
Greetings, Uncle Peter and the Information Minister. I was enjoying your conversation with the Minister until he mentioned we should give Barrow a third term. Is the Minister not seeing the poor performance of this government? The worst government ever. This is from Alex Badunyang.
The worst government ever. Now compare it to the PPP government and the APRC government. I think anybody who is observing, who lives in Gambia, will know that that is not the case. That is untrue. The personal performance of this government cannot be compared to the performance of the PPP government, cannot be compared to the performance of the APRC government. So it cannot be the worst performing government ever. In fact, it is the best performing government ever in every sector by all indicators. That is why donors continue to have confidence in the Gambia. Every week you hear about donor support, 59.1 million for water, 52.6 million to expand road and electricity, and so on and so forth. So for me, I think if the government wasn't performing, we wouldn't have got donor support that we are getting now. But also look at the stability of this country. The country is far more stable now. Economically, we are doing well. Our numbers are good. Our GDP is increasing. Our budget deficit is decreasing. Our inflation rates are going down significantly. Fiscally, we are doing well. So, I mean, in every sector, from the economy to agriculture, to infrastructure, to healthcare, to education, all the indicators are showing that we are going towards the right direction. Last year, I think I saw some report which says that we are top 20 of the fastest growing economies in the world.
In the world, not just in Africa.
In the world in 2024. Yes, because we are growing at 6% at a 6% rate.
How? When we hardly export anything at all. So how?
No, but because of these serious, the very visionary fiscal policy of this country, where we embarked in serious infrastructural development, and that was pumping money into the economy. And this has ripple effects. There was an economist called John Maynard Keynes. He said that if there's stagflation in a country and there's low unemployment and low growth, what the government should do is to pump money into the economy by embarking on serious infrastructural projects. This will pump money into the economy. It will create employment. When people are employed, they spend. When they spend, shops sell. When shops sell, factories produce. When factories produce, they employ people, and this is something that Ablawada did in Senegal, and this is something that the president is almost doing now. We have invested so much money into the economy. The service sector is growing. You see building constructions taking place everywhere. You've seen buildings that we've never seen before in this country, high-rise buildings. We've seen highways. We've seen bridges. This is good. So Gambia was growing. The tourism had picked up after COVID. We saw increase in numbers, over 200 to 200. I think I can't say the exact number, but the numbers increased above pre-pandemic numbers. So I think all these things happening in a country, Peter, to be honest, you cannot come and tell me that it is not performing. I can just get it. And I don't, Peter, me and you know, and you should admit that statement that the government is the worst performing government, and that statement is not true, it's unfair.
Yeah, I disagree. Yeah, that's not correct. I'm passionate about maintenance engineer. Can you ask Dr. Ceesay about the state of affairs of maintenance service agency at Kotu?
No, I don't have any idea about that.
Yeah, there's a maintenance service. Okay. Somebody sending us how Gambia is failing miserably. Africa's industrialized countries ranking from 2013 to 2023. Among the top 10 is not Gambia, not even among the top 20. Let me see. Where's Gambia? I have to keep going.
Industrialized is different from growing economy.
Gambia is 52nd out of 52.
That's industrialization. Industrialization means you now go into more of having industries and producing locally. You increase local industrial productivity. That is different. What I'm saying in terms of economic growth, we are top 20 last year, 2024.
Okay, all right. Good morning, Mr. Gomez. Please let the minister know the former government did extensive study on Gambia having crude oil, so we do have oil. Otherwise, why was former British Prime Minister Tony Blair in the Gambia twice to meet Barrow? So why was Blair here to meet Barrow if it wasn't oil connected?
Well, Tony Blair is everywhere in most countries in Africa where he had his...
Has he been to Guinea Bissau?
I think his foundation.
Has he been to Guinea Bissau?
Well, he mostly operates in Anglophone speaking countries, I think. I stand to be corrected. But I think his coming here cannot be attributed to oil. We don't know Tony Blair in the oil sector. Name me one country where Tony Blair is and he's into oil. I don't see it. So I don't see the precedents there, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can end the conversation there because I have an important meeting to go to Banjul at 11 to attend. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time this morning. Any final thoughts?
Actually, no. I'm trying to
see whether there's
look
been
at this. Yes.
Is it from Silla?
Let me see.
Is it from Demba Sabali, the Agriculture Minister? Is it from my good friend Hamad Ngany Kumbaba? Because they've all been referenced.
They've all been referenced. Let me see.
Could also be from the MOPSE, the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, about that DARA not actually being closed down, contrary to maybe official announcements.
Well, I'll engage the ministers on some of these very important issues, so we can get a response to these. I was just trying to look at the data about the fastest growing economies. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's somewhere in my phone.
Okay.
I'll send it to you so you can also have access to it.
Yeah. Once we have the proof, we will say, yes, Doctor was right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming. That's Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting, bringing today's edition of the program to an end. Thank you very much for the pleasure of your company. We'll be back tomorrow.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Suway.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mënulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.